Hopefully you guys enjoyed the little warm-up. This is a park that I never come to. It's actually, from what I understand, it's pretty recent and it's kind of a DIY and a park. Today, pretty much what we're talking about is board shape. This is something that I feel like needs to get talked about a little more, especially after like a lot of the information that we've got. A lot of people that have recently discovered who Paul Schmidt is are starting to kind of understand how important the shape of your board is to the way you skate. I've been skating for like 15 years, and in that time I've skated quite a few different shapes from all different brands across the whole board. For a really long time I didn't really care. I just bought a board and rode it, got used to it, and then decided whether I liked it or not. I never really put much thought to it that the actual shape of the board might be the reason I don't like this particular board or that particular board. So if you don't know what I'm getting at symmetrical shapes. For me, I really like symmetricals. I like being really consistent, and I find that being able to throw down my board whatever way makes it so I can skate my boards longer, and it also makes it so I'm consistent on both sides of the board and I don't really have to worry about it. As well as, I think for me, it makes more sense. I don't have to readjust. If I'm skating a symmetrical, it's way easy to get used to a symmetrical because it's that way. The only thing you're really getting a difference with is the length of the nose and the tail and maybe the width. Symmetricals are super easy for me to get used to, but because I've been skating these symmetrical boards pretty much ever since iShod's 9 Club, I didn't even know they made symmetricals, and for a really long time before that, I'd always talked about it'd be really nice if both sides of the board were the same. And doing more research, I found out that it's been a thing for a little bit. There have been a couple like small runs that have happened through different companies. I think Creature had one. It was like Evil Live or Evil Live or whatever. There was that one, and there's a few of them. But symmetrical boards right now are really hard to find, even though a bunch of people skate them. So instead of bore you guys to death with shapes, I'm gonna do a little bit more skating. So I've tried all kinds of different symmetricals. I've tried this one right here. This is an Alien Workshop Frankie Spears one. This is pretty new, and we'll come back to this one because this one is the one I really want to talk about. This is Neen Williams Death Wish Twin Nose. I still have the board, and it doesn't look super beat up, mainly because I didn't like it. And I didn't like it for one reason, really. I thought the noses were too pointy. It almost looks like a triangle. They're really pointy, and I didn't like that so much, and I just felt like I felt like I was gonna stab my foot. It was just weird. The shape didn't work for me real well. Even though I was really consistent on it, I still skated it, and it was really consistent, and it was awesome, and I learned tricks, and I landed stuff, and I skated it for a little bit. But I decided to switch it up and swap boards, as well as I kind of reverse engineer shapes. Me personally, what I do is I measure everything out and I reverse engineer shapes, and I try to understand what shapes I like, what shapes I don't. But this board was awesome. I mean, I've never had problems with Death Wish. Death Wish, it's all Baker boys, so wood's great, feels good. Like, I skated Bakers for a really long time, and Baker only, until I started doing symmetrical stuff. This board isn't truly a symmetrical. You can skate a board and not even realize it. Like, so my friend bought this for my birthday for me. He had told me that it was symmetrical and that I was gonna love it. So I immediately just took his word for it. Nose is just a hair taller than this side. This, to this day, remains one of my favorite boards I have ever rode because of how consistent and how good it felt. With regular popsicle shapes, I always prefer riding with the nose as my tail because I like that wider tail. That's how I've always done it. But with this board, for some weird reason, I didn't automatically prefer one side. I skated this just like a symmetrical. So I stopped skating it, and I was like, I'm gonna stop skating it before all the dimensions are totally fucked, and I'm gonna reverse engineer this so I can understand the shape a little better. How this all started was when iShod on the 9 Club said that his pro model was gonna have a symmetrical board, and they talked a lot about it and how they were gonna release one on reel that was all symmetrical. I have footage of me skating a symmetrical iShod board somewhere. I will find it and put it like up here in the corner for a couple clips or whatever. It was amazing. I remember because it was the first symmetrical shape I had ever skated, and I owned 3 different twin tail iShod boards, and they all skated awesome. I loved them. They were great. The only issue that I had with them was they were twin tail. You remember earlier I said I like having that wide tail for the nose. I feel like it gives me more control over certain slide tricks. I feel like it gives me more surface area to kind of find those sweet spots to do flip tricks. There's a lot of stuff that goes into it. With the iShod boards, I remember being extremely disappointed in how short the nose and the tail were, because they were on the shorter end. They were like 6 and I want to say they were like 6 1/4 or 6 1/2. I can't remember exactly the dimensions. I did measure this one out. That was the only thing I disliked about the board. So pretty much ever since then, I've been on the hunt for a specific shape that I really like that I can't get enough of. Full circle, we're coming back to the Alien. As a symmetrical, like a true symmetrical shape, from everything from my measurements says this is like truly symmetrical or it's really good. And this is a really good board. I really like it because the nose and the tail shape are great. They're the exact same. This is an 8.3, so it's not too wide, and it's kind of like right in my sweet spot. I like 8.25s. This is kind of funny how I gauge the width of my board. If I can triple flip it, it's too thin. Downfalls about the Alien shape, this Alien Workshop shape. The downfall about it is the shape of the nose and the tail. It's a really mellow concave. It's not super deep. That I don't really necessarily mind. The shape on these, they're a little too square for me. And I know it's funny because I was bitching about the twin nose Neen shape and I was saying it was too pointy. There is a fine line, I think, for me personally. But other than that, this is probably my favorite symmetrical shape that I've skated, just due to consistency, really, and how well it skates. And I'm starting to think board shape is really starting to become a more important thing in the skate world. Andy Anderson's board is insane. Every single little cut, piece, shape, the whole thing is designed around a purpose for a trick, or for this style, or whatever. And that's really cool to me. I think that's awesome, and I think we're gonna start seeing shape become way more of an important thing. And when Tony Hawk was saying on his 9 Club, there's a lot of work to be done in the board space. There's a lot of things, materials. He says that he thinks the most competitive area right now is boards forever ago. I'm paraphrasing and I can't remember, and it's been a really long time since I watched his 9 Club, but I remember this specifically. He said that boards are gonna be one of the more competitive things, and I think he's right on a sense of specifically with shape. That's the video. Hope you enjoyed. Leave me a like, comment, sub, tell me what I'm doing wrong, tell me how bad I suck at skating, whatever works with you. I'm out. See ya.